Welcome to Ideas That Inspire, where uplifting stories spark hope, inspire change, and remind us that we all have the power to make a difference. Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the Ideas That Inspire podcast. I'm your host, Emery, and in today's heartfelt conversation, we're exploring courage, connection, and the power of storytelling to help us rise up through adversity. Today, I'm joined by two incredible women, Carol Beaumont and Michelle Emery from Her Courage Speaks, a platform that empowers women to transform pain into purpose through honest storytelling and meaningful community. In this episode, you'll hear how Carol and Michelle turn some of their toughest life moments into a movement that helps women feel seen, heard, and supported. We talk about why vulnerability is a superpower, how they're creating safe spaces for healing, and what it really takes to step into your story, even when it feels scary. You'll also hear what it's like to go into business with a longtime friend, what to expect from one of their beautiful live events, and how self-care and community play a key role in overcoming trauma and imposter syndrome. So if you're craving deeper connection, encouragement, or a little spark of courage to share your own story, you're in the right place. Here's my inspiring conversation with Carol and Michelle. Welcome to the show, Carol and Michelle. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time to talk to me today. To begin, I'd love for you to both introduce yourselves, share your cultural background, and how where you grew up shaped who you are today. Carol, would you like to go first?
Sure. My name's Carol Beaumont, and I grew up in Phillipstown in Christchurch, which was quite a low decile area. So I grew up, really living what I suppose is quite a normal childhood for most people. My family, my mum and dad are together still, and I have one younger sister. Yeah.
Thanks, Carol. How about you, Michelle?
I'm Michelle Emery, kia ora. I was born and raised in Kaikoura and moved to Christchurch when I think I was 9 or 10 years old. Had, a pretty standard childhood, but during my childhood I started tap dancing classes at age 5 years old, and that's what started my lifelong passion for dance, which led me down my career path eventually. So I grew up as a tap dancer, which evolved to jazz and then to hip hop.
Thank you for sharing that. And I know together you started Her Courage Speaks. Can you tell us more about what you do and the mission behind it?
So I ran a dance school for 20 years. And then I was in a pretty horrific accident in February of 2021. I was crossing the road and I ran straight into a 50-ton truck and had my legs crushed. So that sent me on a different career pivot. And through my recovery process and subsequent surgeries, I realised that I'm not going to be able to be a full-time dance teacher. So what could I still do to empower and connect women? So then came up with the idea of Her Courage. So we have Her Courage Moves, which are dance classes for women, and Her Courage Speaks, which are motivational speaking events. We just get super vulnerable and share what we've overcome in life and what helped us along the way. And Carol approached me and said, I love this. I would love to be a part of this and share my story. And I was like, fabulous, because I don't think I can do it on my own. And we joined forces. And here we are.
I have a background in marketing and events myself, and also a reasonably traumatic story. So, and we've been friends for a long time, so we knew we would work well together, and we both have been part of each other's vulnerable journeys. So I think that puts us in a good place to collaborate, and we have opposite strengths, and so when we put them together, it is really powerful.
Yeah, you both have such powerful personal journeys that led you to where you are today, and such an incredible story, Michelle, and such a huge thing to go through, and to then be able to make something out of it that is helping you and helping other people heal. Can you share a bit more about what Her Courage Speaks involves in the events that you do?
Our events we take turns at telling our personal stories, and my background is that I spent 20 years married to an alcoholic whom eventually I made the decision to move on from, and I tell my story of how difficult it was leaving and how that experience impacted me, and I speak a bit about how to recover from that kind of trauma and use it to inspire women that they can change the path that they're on. And then Michelle sort of tells her story, and collaboratively we use our journeys to then empower women, and then they have a bit of a Q&A session at the end, and basically we chat to everyone and speak about connection and how telling your truth and being raw and vulnerable is what helps you to make friends and to be real with each other and to have that community so that you can do these things, because we can't do them alone. We need our community behind us. So yeah, that's really what Her Courage Speaks is about. It's about getting everyone together and being vulnerable in safe spaces.
I know from my experiences that vulnerability is the bridge to connection. So it's really about creating a safe space to be able to build deeper connections. We see everybody's highlight reels of their lives on social media, and things are not always sunshine and rainbows. And often when we go through hard stuff, it can feel like a very lonely journey, and we're here to let women know that they're not alone. It's equally as important to share our struggles as it is the highlights of our life. And we love the quote from Brene Brown, where your story can become someone else's survival guide. So that's a little bit of why we do what we do and why we think Her Courage Speaks is important for women.
Yeah, that's a beautiful purpose and thing that you're doing there, and space that you're creating for everyone. And I love how you shared, we can't do it alone. And it's so great to be creating communities like this and places for people to come and be vulnerable and connect and share and feel safe and seen and be part of a community. And yeah, collaboration is such a huge part of your story. And you mentioned earlier that you've been friends for a while. What was it like coming together to turn that shared pain that you've both been through into purpose? And were there any unexpected challenges in building a business together as friends?
I think when we first met, it was actually through business. So I do dance with Michelle. She was my dance teacher. But also the way I found Michelle is because I was doing her design work and marketing and stuff for her. So we had already naturally had that kind of working relationship as well as being friends, which I think helped because we already knew how to work together. But we do have our communication issues sometimes, and neither of us are afraid to say it how it is, really.
Yeah, and we are both very reasonable people that don't appreciate drama. So we can feel super comfortable with one another saying, this is how it is for me, and we can understand and empathize with one another. So far there's not been any type of falling out or anything. It's just really been motivating one another. I know that through my journey I deal with chronic pain, and so I'm easily fatigued. And then there was an instance where Carol came to me like, are you in this? Because I'm all in, and sometimes you just need that little kick up the bum to get your motivation kick-started. And I'm like, right, okay, let's do this.
Well, that's so beautiful that you can go through those highs and lows together and support each other and still be on the same path together. So, Michelle, you shared how you went from a thriving dance career to a life-altering accident. What was the most challenging part of your recovery, both physically and mentally, and how did you find that strength to rebuild?
I don't know if I can pinpoint one thing that was the most challenging. I think it's all the little things combined that make something really difficult. So the not being able to drive for a year, the subsequent surgeries, the bones not healing, a whole host of things. finding the strength to rebuild. Definitely my dance community. So the women's dance classes I teach, a network of about close to 50 women. And without them, I don't think I would have got through with the positive mindset that I did. Just having someone there to check on me all the time, just the little things that they would do, and the big things, the cooking of the meals, the checking up on my mental health, the coming in, just opening the curtains if I hadn't got out of bed, and definitely could not have got through without my community of women lifting me up.
Just another really great reminder that we can't do it alone, and community makes such a difference, even in the moment, for people that feel like they want to help you and don't know how to help you. Doing something makes a difference, and I guess at the time you might not appreciate it as much, but as you say, sort of looking back, you know that that's made such an impact for you.
Yeah. The whole reason I started my women's dance classes, where I was at a low point where I had 4 children and didn't really have any friends because I was just so busy with work and family. And I knew I needed a way to create a friendship group. And the whole reason I started the dance classes was to connect myself to more women. And that's grown and expanded. And now we have this beautiful community with so many thriving friendships. And with such a huge community of women, there's never a drama. It's always positive and always about uplifting and supporting one another through life's journeys. So I would definitely encourage women, if you don't have at least 1 or 2 people in your life that you can turn to in times of need or have a vent to really seek those people out if you can. Join the class you were thinking of doing, or go to the crafting session and find your people.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Really good advice to just get out there and find someone that can make what you're going through just that little bit easier with the support. And shifting to you, Carol, now, you shared your experience of navigating life with a loved one struggling with addiction.
Mm-hmm.
For someone in a similar situation, what signs or red flags should they pay attention to, and what advice could you give them, even if they're not ready to leave yet?
I think that the signs that you should look out for are your own mental health declining. You spend so much time focusing on helping your addicted loved one that you forget about yourself, and you get to the point where you're becoming unwell yourself. And I think that if you eventually realize that you're not responsible for the other person fixing themselves, but you are responsible for maintaining your own health. So looking out for the signs that you're not looking after yourself is something that I didn't realize I was doing until I was sort of having panic attacks. And it gets quite big on you before you even realize it. But thinking back, there were definitely signs that I wasn't looking after myself enough, or I was spending more time looking after someone else or trying to get someone else help. So yeah, I think making sure that you pay attention to the small things as well is helpful.
Thank you. And so if someone is in that space and they notice that they're not looking after themselves, do you have some thoughts around what they can do to do that, shift that, or get support?
Yeah, it's really hard because there isn't a lot of support resources in New Zealand for the partners of people with addictions. There's barely enough support for the addicts themselves. So it is a time where you kind of need to rely on your own support network, which generally it just means being open and honest and reaching out to people and saying, hey, you know what, I'm not okay. And leaning on trusted friends and being brave enough to speak your truth and open those conversations so that you can let people in.
Yeah, it keeps coming back to that support, doesn't it? And such a shame that it is so hard to get support here in New Zealand when you're going through hard times.
Yeah, I mean, what we're doing with Her Courage Speaks now is come from a place of me not having that support when I needed it and wanting to create it for people who are going through similar things to I was. So that's kind of my reason for being. Yeah.
Yeah, as you say, turning that pain into passion and creating what it was that you needed at the time.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful journey to be on. And for anyone listening who's facing their own struggles or wondering how to turn their pain into purpose, what's one step that they could take today to begin shifting their mindset towards more resilience or empowerment or finding that support that they're looking for?
I think it's about trusting yourself and tapping into your intuition and believing that you have what it takes inside you to do all those things that you really want to do, and being brave enough to just go for it.
A mind shift can be a really hard thing to do. So I know part of what helped me get through was gratitude, just focusing on something that I could be grateful for. Even in the hardest of times, if I could find one thing to be grateful for, I found that helped start to shift my mindset. Instead of focusing on the negative, let's look for the positives.
Yeah, I love what you've both said there. Trusting your intuition and being grateful. Such wonderful things that we all could do with more of in our lives. And being vulnerable and sharing your stories has been a huge part of your healing journeys and the growth of the Her Courage Speaks community. For someone else who has a powerful story but is afraid to share it, what words of encouragement would you offer to them?
I would say come to one of our events and see the power of sharing your story. It's something that I feel like when you witness, there's an atmosphere shift in the room. We've only done one event so far and it was just so beautifully received. And after that, we had a few women contact us and say, I've never been brave enough to share my story before, but I would like to after being at your event because I know it's important. So I would say come to an event and witness the power of what sharing your story can do.
Another thing I would say is if you're not ready to share it with someone else, then another powerful thing to do is to write it down. It doesn't have to be perfectly executed when you're writing things down. You can literally just scramble your thoughts onto a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be read by anyone either. It just often helps you process things by getting them out of your mind and down on paper. And then, when you're ready, you've been through the process of getting it out before you feel brave enough to share with the actual person as well.
Yeah, great idea. Writing anything down that's going around inside the mind is a great way to get it out and get a different perspective on it and give the mind a little rest from that constant circle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you're both based in Christchurch and your live events are in Christchurch. Is that correct?
So far, we've just done some Christchurch events, but we are planning on travelling around the South Island a wee bit over the course of the year as well.
Oh, that's exciting news.
Yeah, long term we'd love to travel further, but we're just taking it as it comes.
Yep, starting out and seeing what unfolds. And for people listening, is there a way for people to connect with you also online if they're not locally?
Absolutely. We both have our own Instagram accounts. I'm Her Courage Carol and Michelle is Her Courage Rises.
Yeah, correct. And we have a website, it's hercourage.co.nz, and contact form on the website, also on Facebook.
And LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On all the places.
All the usual, the usual media links, we're there.
Yeah.
So do you have a Facebook group that people can come in and connect and share their stories?
We do. We have Her Courage Community, which is a private Facebook group. So you can register for that on the website. It has the link and you can be part of that community.
Beautiful. Are you looking for a way to support the podcast and the planet? Ascent's Ocean Foam Hand and Body Wash has been bringing me so much joy lately. It's not just the fresh East Coast citrusing scent. It's the feeling of supporting a purpose-driven Kiwi business, doing things differently. Patrick, the founder of Ascent, has created something really special, a fully circular refill system that's simple and sustainable. You get a beautiful glass bottle with a durable steel pump designed to last, and when it's time to refill, you can send your empties back for free. It's honestly a no-brainer. And as a bonus, the Ideas That Inspire community gets 10% off the wash set, gift set, and duo set with the code IDEAS10OFF. That's IDEAS, the number 10, OFF, at ascentrefills.nz, or by using the link in the show notes. If you're ready to ditch single-use plastic and support innovation that's good for people and the planet, start your Buy Once Refill Forever journey with Ascent today. Big ideas can feel overwhelming, but you don't have to navigate them alone. In a clarity call, I'll help you gain clarity, feel supported, and take action toward what truly matters. Visit ideasthatinspire.com to book your session today. I just want to shift gears a little bit now. I'm curious, have you both explored together what success means for Her Courage Speaks and how that definition has evolved as the business has started and grown?
Yeah, we talked about this in the lead up to the podcast. And success for us is, we talked about the ripple effect of, we can't change the world, but we could leave an impression on one person, and then that would have a ripple effect in of itself. So if one person is inspired or empowered by our stories, then to us that is successful.
Beautiful. And what do you envision for the future of Her Courage Speaks and how success fits into that, and what would you love to see it evolve in the next coming years?
As well as travelling and taking it to different places, we would also love to be able to bring it into the corporate space. I think well-being and health in offices and things like that is something that is often overlooked, and obviously people are working better with each other when they are understanding of each other's mental health and personal lives as well. So we would love to be able to incorporate bringing vulnerability and openness into more work environments. So yeah, evolving into the corporate area would be our long-term goals as well.
Definitely.
That sounds fantastic. And yeah, definitely something that's needed and can help you connect with your colleagues in different ways and have more understanding and compassion. And then what you learn at work too, you can take home and share that with your family and friends. So great place to start planting the seed.
Yeah.
If you could go back to day one of starting the journey, what advice would you give yourselves or anyone who's been through something difficult and wants to turn their experience into something meaningful?
For me, I think I've struggled with imposter syndrome quite a bit. Very comfortable in the dance space, and teaching dance classes is well within my comfort zone. But then stepping beyond my comfort zone into public speaking has given me the heebie-jeebies. And it's just been a case of, actually, I have a really important story to share, and just self-belief.
We're really good at shaking each other a bit when it comes to that. If either of us are feeling a bit off, we both bring each other back up. So I think working with someone is helpful as well.
Keeps you accountable too.
Yeah.
If I had tried to do this on my own, I know that I probably wouldn't have succeeded. I don't think I would have had the self-motivation, or the imposter syndrome would have got the best of me. I would have just gone back to complacency and taken the comfortable path. And I'm definitely experiencing that. I've always said growth lies on the outside of your comfort zone. And I've used that in the context to help women in dance classes. And now I'm just having to, what's that phrase?
Embody it.
Yeah, I'm having to embody it. And
listen to your own medicine.
yeah, that's right.
I think I'm a little bit opposite to that. I'm full guns blazing, steam ahead. And I think working with Michelle has been good for me in the way that it slows down my pace and makes me really think about things and think things through a bit more, and I think we've got a really good balance in that, where I'm one way, she's the other way, and so we bring ourselves to a quite centered place.
Oh, that's fantastic that you can lean on each other to pull you up when you need some support and to balance each other out and work well together. And as you say, like starting something new and pushing yourself out of the comfort zone is a scary place, and to have someone to support you to do that is fantastic. And starting this podcast is pushing myself out of my comfort zone and working through those emotions of the fear and doing it anyway. As you said, public speaking is such a big thing for people. Like, is there something that you do that can help you get through that feeling and situation and do it, that you could share with the community that could help them do the same thing and share their story?
Before we public speak, actually, we both get our nervous energy out with a wee dance.
I was just going to say,
good idea.
We made like a little dance reel as just a fun thing to do, but it does work to shake off your anxiety.
And I think the way you frame your self-talk also makes a huge difference, like not letting your negative thoughts get in and more coming from a place of, I can do this is going to be fine, and I'm good at this. And like the way that you speak to yourself in your head makes a difference.
Yes, and having that awareness around noticing those thoughts and then being able to shift them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And often that energy that you feel in your body can either be nervousness or excitement. It's a similar feeling, but it's the thoughts that help shift it to feel from being nervous to excited.
Yep, that and physically shaking it out, push-ups right before you're about to go on, or star jumps, or like it is an energy that needs to be released. So getting it out physically helps too.
Yes, I love the idea of having a little dance party.
Yeah.
So yeah, and running these events, they focus on kind of heavy emotional topics that can be really deeply rewarding, but also draining, and that energy that you get from doing the speaking and releasing that and then going through the event.
Mm-hmm.
How do you both take care of your own well-being while holding space for others?
So far, what we've done after an event is make sure that we have a debrief. So we will get together for a coffee and acknowledge that it was emotionally draining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spoke at a major event a couple of years ago and thought I would come away feeling super proud of myself, and I felt extremely low after. And then I realised that what I was experiencing was an emotional hangover. And I'd never heard of the term before, but it is a real thing, and you can come away feeling extremely low. And so then it did take a couple of days to just shake that off and get back into my natural energy. And how did I go about doing that? For me, a debrief, a coffee with a friend always helps.
Talking about it, it comes back to those things where it's talking about it and exercising, getting it out of you physically as well, are both really good for self-care and mental well-being. It's the cliche, what everybody says, really.
A walk with a friend.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, interesting term, the emotional hangover. I can totally relate to that, and it's all about those sort of expectations that you think you're going to feel, and then when it happens and you feel differently, you've got to take time to process that and reflect on it and take the positives from it and know that it's a learning experience and be prepared for it the next time, I guess.
Yeah.
So what has been one of the most unexpected impacts of sharing your stories so openly? Has there been any moments where you realised just how much your work was resonating with others that you feel comfortable sharing about?
Yeah, I think we knew that we were onto a great idea, but I think after our first event, we were just overcome with how amazing the feedback was afterwards, and the conversations that we had with everyone in the room after our first event was incredible.
We, both of us, have received messages from absolute strangers just via the internet that would just feel so comfortable in opening up and sharing their personal stories with us. And so that connection that you can have with a complete stranger. I don't know if I'm surprised by it, but really pleased that people feel comfortable enough to, a stranger can just open up and share their stories with us.
It's just solidifying that what we're doing is worthwhile and it's
needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely worthwhile and needed. And it's so interesting how sometimes it is easier to share a story with a stranger than it is with a close friend or loved one.
And I think it's easier to share with someone who you know has also experienced trauma. And someone who has experienced trauma can relate more as well. So opening up to someone who you know has been through their own stuff is valuable as well.
Yeah, great reminder. And even if the trauma is different, you've been through similar processes and...
Yeah, I mean, you don't talk about the weather anymore. You talk about the things that matter.
You go deep.
Yeah.
And everybody's trauma is different.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean nobody's trauma is more severe than somebody else's. It's just we all experience it differently due to our upbringing or personal experiences. How we get through that, we're all going to experience that differently as well.
Yes, that's a great reminder too. So how can the community support the work you're doing? Are there any other ways that people can get involved, help spread the message?
Really just sharing, jumping on and checking what we're all about and then sharing it, letting people you know who might need it know about us.
We're a small business, so getting the name out there, the more eyes we have on the business, the easier it's going to be for people to know about our events. So
yeah, spread the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so happy to have you here on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Support a small business, get the word out there.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Is there any message or takeaway that you'd like to leave the community with today? Anything we haven't covered that you feel is important to share?
I think just that to reinforce that vulnerability creates connection. Yeah, the more real you are with a person, the more real they are back with you. So being brave and sharing your truth is going to get you way further than
holding
small talk
it in and trying to walk this path alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not everybody's ready to hear about other people's traumas or experiences, and that's why it's so great for you to be creating spaces like this that people can come and know that everyone there is in that space and ready and wants to connect and be vulnerable and share. So yeah, it sounds like a beautiful community that you're building.
Our hope is that people don't leave with an emotional hangover themselves, but that they leave feeling inspired and hopeful that we can do hard things, we can overcome adversity, and we share how we did that as well. So we went through this and this is how we got to where we are.
We both end on the more positive notes of where we have got to and how we've overcome our hardships. So we do hope people walk away feeling empowered and like they can get there too.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And do you want to share anything about the upcoming events?
Yeah, we're planning on taking it to Kaikoura and Blenheim and
the
West
Coast, hopefully.
West Coast, maybe Nelson. We haven't got dates set for that yet, but yeah, we are thinking June, July.
But if people are following along our social media pages, they will definitely be updated of when that's happening. So if you can follow us to stay updated for other events, that would be amazing.
Yes, go follow them. So thank you both, Carol and Michelle, for talking to me today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I really just think it's an amazing thing that you're both doing together. It's so wonderful to see people coming together, making something purposeful from the pain and doing it with friends and creating a community and making change that's going to benefit and uplift people. And long term, the more that people are happy and can share their emotions and have community, the more that supports the planet. So it's all just
the ripple effect.
Yes, it's all just a ripple effect that makes for a better world.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I hope you loved this conversation with Carol and Michelle as much as I did. It's a powerful reminder that sharing our stories, especially the hard ones, can be a pathway to healing, connection, and courage. Their work through Her Courage Speaks is such a beautiful example of turning pain into purpose and creating a safe, supportive space where women feel truly seen, heard, and valued, something the world absolutely needs more of. If this episode resonated with you, I encourage you to reach out to a friend, someone you trust, or even to Carol and Michelle directly. Vulnerability really is a superpower, and you never know who might relate, find comfort, or be inspired by your story. You'll find links in the show notes to connect with them and learn more about their work and upcoming events. Next time on the podcast, I'm joined by Mark Anderson from MA Building, a builder who's doing things differently, from creating sustainable, energy-efficient passive homes to mentoring the next generation of mindful men. Mark is leading the way in building healthier homes and stronger communities. We talk about what it means to live with purpose, not just at work, but in how we show up at home, in business, and for the world. It's an inspiring conversation about sustainability, leadership, and making real change from the ground up. I can't wait to share it with you. Thank you for being part of the Ideas That Inspire community. If today's episode sparked joy or inspiration, please share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. Because the more people that hear these stories, the more change we can create together. You can join the conversation on Instagram at Ideas That Inspire, where we connect, share, and support each other in living mindfully and making a real impact. You can also find us on YouTube, or visit ideasthatinspire.com to apply to share your story on the podcast, or book a clarity call to take the next step towards your own inspiring idea, goal, or dream. Let's light up the world together, one idea at a time.